My brother and Christian Hockley Fibrix, the best way to prevent something from happening is to take preventative measures. Though, I ain't take a lot of them. That's probably why I got 2 kids. It explains why I don't like hand traps too much now, doesn't it? What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is Tier List Tuesday. I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Today for Tier List Tuesday, we are going to be talking about the top hand traps for the January 2023 format. Now, I know some of you guys may be thinking,
Kelly, hand traps are bad. You always say hand traps are bad.
shut up. While personally playing hand traps isn't necessarily my play style, one thing that I have been noticing is that hand traps have been seeing an uptick, and I'm going to be giving you my opinion on some of the best hand traps that you could be using right now if you are a hand trap player. I'm going to be using some statistics from the past regional weekends, as well as giving you my insight on some hand traps that can be really effective in what I'm seeing right now. Hopefully this will help you on your journey for being able to stop some of the opposition in whatever they're playing. Of course, big dog, if you think I missed a particular card or you want to see a particular tier list, go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. But without further ado, I got 5 different categories. A cut above the rest are the best hand traps in the game right now. Really good. I mean, it's saying for itself, these hand traps are really good. Solid, my boy, or hand traps that can be played in almost any occasion. Situational or almost the opposite of solid, my guys. They're okay sometimes. They have a situation. And then, of course, oh no, what are you doing, baby? But we have renamed it to Copium because I'm coping that these hand traps are really good. Let's go ahead and start off by talking about Artifact Lancia, as this was once one of the most powerful hand traps in Yu-Gi-Oh's existence, being able to completely shut down an opponent's turn, but right now, it is Copium. The decks that Artifact Lancia were extremely good against are no longer very powerful, and while this card could rise into popularity post-Photon Hypernova, right now, even against its strongest matchup, Fluendereese, it's a minor inconvenience as opposed to a really good card that will end their turn. Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring was often regarded as one of the most powerful hand traps in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, and this card actually changed how we played Yu-Gi-Oh for a long duration of time. Right now, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring is in a solid situation. It's not a hand trap that's extremely powerful, but it's not a hand trap that's fairly weak. That's actually a good thing. I have to say that hand traps seem to have dictated how Yu-Gi-Oh has been played, and Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring being power crept out to being a game-winning, turn-ending Yu-Gi-Oh card is a good thing for the progression of Yu-Gi-Oh. Now, moving forward, one thing I do want to talk about with hand traps, which I think is completely crazy. This is going to be knowledge for you guys. Hand traps actually dictate Yu-Gi-Oh. I just finished talking about how Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring almost ran, if not ran, the entire Yu-Gi-Oh card game. It was a must-play card and dictated how we played Yu-Gi-Oh. The Bestial monsters feel exactly like that in Druid Swarm and Magnum Hut. The reason why I say that is because for so long, Konami has made light and dark strategies that were extremely powerful. They pretty much neglected all of the other attributes. Well, not only do the Bestial monsters serve as a detriment to light and dark strategies, not just tier limit, it's actually a power check and a power creep at the same time. You can pretty much go back to almost any format and insert the Bestials in, and they would completely dominate that period of time. And that could actually go for an entire video about how hand traps have changed, altered, or ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! I really want to know if you want me to make a video like that. Let me know down below in the comment section. But moving on, this is actually a really tame version of the Bestial monsters. Serenir has something that Magnum Hut in Druid Swarm doesn't. A not so great effect. While it does summon itself as a huge body and can still disrupt a light and dark monster, both Magnum Hut and Druid Swarm have an added benefit of being able to add you a dragon or being able to get rid of an opponent's card, while Serenir, unless it's in the correct strategy, doesn't necessarily do anything further. Chaos Hunter, ironically, is a really good hand trap, and this is pre-Photon Hypernova. Not only can this card prevent your opponent from using their Ashizu effects because it prevents banishing, it's a solid 2500 attack monster that can summon itself to the side of the field, prevent a ton of shenanigans, and is a powerhouse of a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Though admittedly, I do think that Chaos Hunter is a better sideboard card. This card has so many great niche interactions. You should just try it out and see how it works for you in testing. Through testing with me, it's been a really solid Yu-Gi-Oh card. Like, it's really good. Now for Contact C, I actually really want to put it in the situational category, but to be honest, that's really just copium. I actually really like how Contact C can summon itself to your opponent's side of the field and prevent them from continuously playing. Take, for example, if your opponent summons Kid Kalos on your turn, you can summon this card on their turn and completely prevent them to keep on fusion summoning. But the bad thing about this is that the Bestial monsters are almost power crept the living daylights out of this. And the reason why is because Synchro 6s were never really a thing, and that's what made this card amazing. But because of the Bestial monsters, Synchro 6 is a thing, and you just gave them a level 6 monster to summon some of their best monsters with. Because of this, even some of the best matchups are situational at best, hoping that your opponent doesn't play the correct rank 6 to take full advantage of a card you just gave to them. Sword Soul Iris, Dama Mama, guys. I absolutely love this Yu-Gi-Oh card. I'm gonna put it in. It's me coping. It's 100% me coping. It's unlucky, but it's coping. Sword Soul Iris, for the people that did not know, can special summon itself to the side of the field when a monster effect is negated. Then it gains effects based on what your opponent does. If they special summon from deck, you get to draw 2 cards. That is amazing. If they special summon from the extra deck, you get to destroy a card, which is also crazy. And if your opponent special summons a monster from the hand, you get to special summon a monster from your hand, which is also ridiculous. The problem with that is that it needs a monster negated on the field to be able to special summon herself, and then it needs your opponent to perform or need to perform that certain action. I would 100% put her in situational, but I feel like I'm being biased. I think that it's a copium-like card. DD Crow, hands down, has carved its role as a solid Yu-Gi-Oh card. The unfortunate thing about DD Crow is that the Bestial monsters feel better. Even though DD Crow can actually hit cards that the Bestial monsters can't, the fact of the matter is that there aren't enough other attribute cards or spell and trap cards that we can be hitting with DD Crow to justify it. Though it is a fairly good card, and if you can't afford the Bestials, it's a nice option. Now this one's gonna have a whole bunch of people in my comment section and in my DMs saying, "Kelly, you don't know what you're talking about." Dimension Shifter I've had in a cut above the rest for so long, but now I'm starting to see the flaws of Dimension Shifter. It is just solid. To be honest, I think that players have actually grown past this card. If you Dimension Shifter your opponent, they make Baguska. And 9 times out of 10, if you're playing a deck that plays Dimension Shifter, you lose to Baguska. Ya boy Baguska needs to be banned. It's crazy, but what the statistics have actually shown me is that decks that play Dimension Shifter, like Fluendaries and Exo Sister, has fallen off, while Baguska has become a main staple in almost every single deck, especially tier elements, you know, the deck that would lose to Dimension Shifter. Drolan Lockbird has secretly become one of the better hand traps in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a hand trap that not a lot of players play, but being able to lock your opponent out of searching multiple cards from their deck to their hand is huge against almost every matchup in the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game, especially with if there's less Dimension Shifter, right? I mean, to be honest, Dimensional Fissure, Dimension Shifter, Macro Cosmos being played a lot less, Drolan Lockbird can come out and be one of the better cards in the game. Effect Veiler, of course, my guys, another one of those really good Yu-Gi-Oh cards. A lot of times you want to provide that negation from your opponent's monsters while you also control monsters, and the best thing about it is that it is a light and dark monster for your own Bestial monsters to summon to the side of the field. Fantastical Dragon Phantasme Thanos. Unfortunately, while links are in the format, they're not enough in the format for you to be playing Fantastical Dragon Phantasme in your main board or your sideboard. This card, low-key, is copium. But now, hypothetically, if your meta was filled with nothing but Sprite players, this card kinda good. It comes out naturally stronger than Totally Awesome and prevents your opponent from targeting. Hypothetically, if you are in a Sprite meta, this card low-key is good, but since we're not, it's copium. Cyframe Gear Gamma has established itself as a cut above the rest. This card is almost a must sideboard Yu-Gi-Oh card because it addressed so many great monster effects in the game, and it destroys the threat, which is sometimes what you want to see. Being able to stop your opponent from Fluendaries Robina, check. Being able to stop your opponent's best Sprite monster like Sprite Sprint or Gigantic Sprite, check. This card just has so much utility right now. It is a great sideboard card, and if you were to play a deck that can incorporate it in the main board, I wouldn't even hold you. It's amazing. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit has situations where it's actually pretty good. I like how it's good against the Tearlament field spell. It can stop Gigantic Sprite. It can destroy Sprite Elf, which is sometimes that's all you need to do. And also, this card is a level 3 Psychic Tuner that can activate its effect on field and be special summoned off of Emergency Teleport. That is all good information. Sometimes just destroying the card is what you really need, and sometimes just winning the game with your girl Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. Hold on. Did you buy your Spooky Dogwood? You guys said I make cards skyrocket in price. What y'all talking about? Why y'all ain't saying
Kelly made Dogwood skyrocket in price?
In all seriousness, Dogwood is probably one of the best cards that you can play inside of your sideboard when you are going into time, because this card is just amazing at just winning games, mainly because a lot of times when your opponent would special summon a monster, it would be an activated effect and you can chain Dogwood to. A lot of times you can gain, I don't know, looking at the Bestials, at least 2,500 life points, which can win you the game. Ghost Belt in Haunted Mansion is actually a ridiculously good hand trap. Not only can this stop the Bestial monsters from activating their effects, it can also stop Cypher Gear Gamma that one time, which is sometimes all you need. It stops Called by the Grave, the Ishizu cards. It's just overall a great underrated slept on card. I really hate how the TCG has completely hoed Ghost Mortar and Moonlit Chill. If this card could be activated as Chainlink 2 to a monster like Kid Kalos on your turn, it would easily be one of the best hand traps. It'd be a must play inside of your deck. But unfortunately, if your opponent were to summon a monster like Kid Kalos on your turn, they would be able to activate its effect as Chainlink 2, as Ghost Mortar would have to be Chainlink 1, unlike in the OCG, which makes this card kind of like a worse Ghost Sister, because it relies on your opponent to then get rid of the monster, or for you to get rid of the monster to inflict that damage and go for game. Next is Ghost Reaper in Winter Cherries. I've always said that this card is not a great Yu-Gi-Oh card, and I still think it's not a great Yu-Gi-Oh card. I understand. Being able to banish a particular card out of your opponent's extra deck seems like the bee's knees. It seems like a game-ending card. Statistically, that has not been the case, my friend. The problem with Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries is that this card becomes way less effective the longer the game goes on, meaning that you need to have this card inside of your hand, and then on top of that, being able to banish a card from your opponent's extra deck does not guarantee a win. Because of how extra decks have evolved, players have just found other ways to play even when their main card gets removed, and that's why this card has not been seeing enough traction. Herald of Orange Light, oh man. When Herald of Orange Light was at 3, I think it's a cut above the rest, but now at 1, I think it's extremely situational. And the reason why is because when you had 3 Herald of Orange Lights, you had your fairy monsters and then 3 Heralds, which increased the chances of you having the Herald. But now, you still need to play an optimal amount of fairy monsters in order to use this card's effect, but you only have 1 chance of being able to get it with that 1 fairy monster, which it actually mathematically feels way worse than having 3 and 3, but who would have guessed, right? So far, the only deck to have considered even playing this is Tearlament, and that's pretty much only in the sideboard. Infinite Impermanence still rounds out as one of the best hand traps in the game. I think it's for a few reasons. The first is that it's a trap card, so it does dodge cards like Triple Tactics Talent. Kelbic, ironically, is also an extremely solid hand trap. It is a solid out to be able to get rid of your opponent's special summon monsters when they send from the deck to the graveyard, like against Tearlaments. And it's also a card that addresses the Adventure Token engine, which has been sneakily good right now. Heavenly Zephyr of Miradoria, I think I gotta eat crow in this one. I said that this card was gonna be the bee's knees when it finds a search counterpart. Bestial Magnemud is the search counterpart, and this card's still situational. Right now at the second, for most decks, this card just isn't really worth playing, but a dedicated dragon deck can probably take advantage of it. Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, also known as Mummy Milkers. This is a hand trap. It can summon itself to the side of the field from the hand when a trap card is activated, yours or your opponent's, and it gets you a free normal trap card. This is 100% still copium right now. Trap cards are not that good for you to be splashing Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle in every single deck. Not yet, my friend. Nibiru the Primal Being is one of the most slept on hand traps in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, my brothers. I don't know if you've been watching any of the data over the past few weekends, but Nibiru has seen a huge uptick in the main board and the sideboard, and it's because nobody respects Nibiru. I understand decks like Sprite have Sprite Red and Gigantic Sprite to prevent Nibiru from being summoned, and tier limits have Rukalos, but none of the other decks seem to have those protections. A lot of those lower end decks tend to not have a way to stop Nibiru, and on top of that, players are playing stupid reckless right now because Nibiru isn't in the format. On top of that, both Sprite and tier limit players have also been playing reckless, so you can just Nibiru that hoe. Drop the rock on him and tell him, do you smell what the rock is cooking? Retaliating Sea is stupid good in the, okay. So look, here we are, guys. Retaliating Sea can be activated when a card effect includes special summoning. That means all of the Pearly spell cards. That means any ritual spell card your opponent would be using. There's a lot of cards that this card could be able to get rid of. Also, Retaliating Sea is a walking macrocosmos that can search an insect monster from your deck to your hand. This card has like so much potential, but unfortunately, we're stuck back to that original point. It can only be summoned when your opponent activates a spell card that includes the effect. We don't find too many of those. Saravis, I think, is another situational hand trap. There is a good amount of targeting going on in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, but I think Saravis is best used in a deck that can play maybe like the Magician's Souls engine and plays Herald of Arclight inside of the extra deck, meaning that they can get abuse of Herald of Arclight being able to search the Magician's Souls engine through Illusion and Chaos, or being able to search the Saravis for protection. Overall, it's a good card. Skullmeister is really interesting. It's because it's a card that has so many uses. This card is not once per turn. It also is a huge chunky boy. He can summon himself as a 1700 body, and he stops so many great cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. I'm gonna put Skullmeister at solid, though I think somebody can make an argument for really good. And the reason why is because not only can this hit cards in the graveyard like Ghost Bell and DD Crow, this also can stop effects in the graveyard. Like if your opponent wanted to use a tier limit effect to fuse, this can stop it, but it can also stop spells and trap cards, something that these two cards can't do when they activate to gain certain effects. And of course, it's not once per turn. And then Token Collector for our last card is easily Copium. Not enough token cards in the format, though if we do see an uptick in Sword Soul in Adventure Time, then this could be a pretty good card. And that's pretty much all that I have for my hand trap tier list. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, let me know down below in the comment section some other tier list videos you would like to see, as well as let me know if you think that I put a hand trap too low or high. Of course, I hope you guys are having an amazing Tuesday. And if you aren't, again, do not let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Go ahead and check out these videos for more amazing TheCaliEffect content, and I'll catch you on the next video.